Ja.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. The event is about to begin. Thank you, everyone, for joining us in person. We also have people joining us online. We are gathered here today to celebrate the graduation day of the first ever Bilbao SaaS batch with Startup Wise Guys, right here from Bilbao in the B Accelerator Tower. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. We're very excited to be here. We are so lucky to have the startups from the batch represented here today. It's been an intense 5 months where the startups have worked very hard and have been very dedicated, working closely with the Startup Wise Guys team, our expert mentors, to create their magical projects. So it's a very exciting day for us today. We are going to have a selection of panels where the startup founders will be participating, and they will be moderated by our very own Startup Wise Guys GPs. Before we get to the panels, we will be hearing about the Startup Wise Guys GPs and board members about our investment thesis. And before that, we will be hearing from Doug, our Startup Wise Guys GP, about Startup Wise Guys. So, without further ado, let's get the event started, and I'm going to pass it over to Doug.
Thank you. It works? Yeah, I think I was pushing it the wrong way. No? Okay, it's moving. So hello. So who hasn't heard about Startup Wise Guys? Raise your hand. Okay, so you know already a lot, so I'm going to be short. Again, what? Should I boost down or up? Down? Down. Okay. Oh, that's what I'm doing. Okay. So Startup Wise Guys was founded in Estonia now 11 years ago. Estonia is a small country in North Europe, only 1.5 million people, but we are quite well known about our entrepreneurship. And yes, we celebrated 11 years, so it's been already a journey. And once upon a time, so it's all the good journeys start usually with that sentence. And the Wise Guys was founded by entrepreneurs. I'm an entrepreneur, and the point was to do something for the entrepreneurs, so to grow the new generation of founders. And within those 11 years, we have now grown from 3 people to 60 people team. We have expanded all across to Europe, to Africa, and we have invested in over 380 startups. So, but I think we're pretty much still true to our mission, which is to help founders to become entrepreneurs and build international sustainable companies. So that hasn't changed. And this is how the team looked in 2016. So this is when we expanded to the first country outside Estonia. It was Riga, Latvia. So then we had, I think, 7 people, because Erti is missing from this picture, and Sane. And all of the other team members are still in the team except Maris, who is now moved along, but still good friend of us. And of course, we all look a bit younger there. Last year, we were recognized by Shifted as one of the top 3 global accelerators. That was chosen by European VCs among Y Combinator, Entrepreneurs First, Plug and Play, and Techstars. So it was a very good recognition for us. So this 11 years of work has actually starting to pay off, and people are starting to take notice. So we invest in mainly 5 verticals. So we do B2B, and within B2B, we're investing in SaaS, in fintech, in cybersecurity, in clean tech, sustainability, and also XR, VR. And why Bilbao? So Bilbao has a lot of industry and a lot of history with big corporates. And we see that our startups that we invest in have very good match with those companies, providing them innovative SaaS solutions or cyber security services. So we see there is a really good match there. And also we have a XR program running in Malaga. It's also very complementary with these companies. And of course, it's a good place to get access to the investors who understand the specific different verticals. So yes, it's a historical and expensive industry here, collaborative corporates and government support. So it's what's not to like. And of course, the more obvious is really good quality of life, talent and people, and who doesn't like the pinchos and kalimatocho. So everybody likes it. So I promise to keep it short. So next, I hand it over to Fabi again to moderate the panel. And we are in the panelists, we will have Alexa, me, and Juan, and we will talk about basically everything around how we make decisions, basically in a mind as how we think when we invest in startups, what are the investment criteria, etc. So welcome on the stage, Alexa, Juan, and Fabi. So you are moderating, you're going to sit here.
Thank you. Thanks Thanks so much. All right, I forgot to mention that if you have any questions, we'll have time for questions at the end of every panel, and there'll be people asking questions online as well. So that's why I'll be looking at my phone now and then to make sure that I get all those questions. All right, let's get started. Firstly, thank you very much for being here. We're very happy to have you. So I'm going to start off with a very general question. Alexa, can you give us an overview of the Startup Wise Guys investment thesis?
It's broad. So basically, we invest. One of the first things that you need to know, and you already heard Doug speaking, so you know what wise guys are. We are investing as early as we can, so we're a pre-seed investor, which means that if you're a pre-seed investor, the main thing that you cannot do is you cannot spend too much time on due diligence, because there's not too much due diligence you can do, apart from the personalities of the founders. So from my perspective, and colleagues would, of course, I'm happy if you compliment me, one of the first core things for us is to review the founders' teams, to know their experience, to know their founder market match, to know their complementary skills as well in the team. Which makes a lot of weight in decision on if we even want to work with this team as human beings, because we have to work with them for 10 years. And I don't know even if everyone realized that we're here for you, you're here with us for 10 years. Come on. So that's one thing. Huh?
Even more.
Even more. So some people say if you even exit, you can never escape from us because you stay in the family. So that's the people part. But then, of course, with the whole... So we started 11 years ago. And the world 11 years ago, started world 11 years ago, was different. Which means that right now, the competition, even in pre-seed stage startups, is still growing. So, which means that we do evaluate and decide on the human side a lot. But we're also now looking for a good traction, early traction, which is competitive. Across pre-seed, early stage startups. So it should be a combination of early sales, early LOIs, early adopters, users, I don't know, something. So, and of course it should make sense in the growing market. So humans, traction, market.
If I can add something, good afternoon to everybody. If I can add something on the people side, we were discussing that this morning on a break, and there's something that needs to be in the minds of the founders, which is willing to change something. I mean, they need to have a reason why, right? I mean, all founders, in order to be able to survive the path, need to have a passion and something which at the end it can be described as changing the world somehow, right? So that's something that needs to be there. And I would just want to add in, from a financial perspective, the market they are in needs to be big enough. So we invest in growing startups, right? So it needs a big market. Very, 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 very small niche companies is not something we normally look at. So just wanted to add that too, if I may.
I will add to the same thing as well, that very important is ambition. So I think two things that you pointed out, I also wanted to add. That they have to go like after a very big market, because of course initially you don't maybe see what the market is, but there needs to be ambition, and there needs to be this belief that they are into this with something else than money, right? Because otherwise, if somebody will offer them 10 million, they will sell the company, and this is not good for us. I mean, we want to see 100 million companies, billion companies. So the founders need to have ambition,
So they want to make an impact.
Exactly.
And this is something you look for.
Not need to be something else than money that's motivating them. Of course, money is good as well. Who doesn't want money? But there needs to be something else. If you look at the best founders in the world, they're not motivated by money, right? Like all the big founders out there, they're giving their money to charity, most of them.
So, Juan, you touched upon the different markets we look at, and this brings me to, we do focus on different verticals at Startup Wise Guys. So what does that look like? How are they structured?
Okay. So historically we are a tech investor. So we invest in technology because per definition we need to so it's software mainly. In some cases we do some hardware, but it needs to have a big growth, right? So we were B2B SaaS, right? That's how we started. And then for several reasons, we have been creating several verticals. In some cases, it comes because we wanted to leave a footprint, like sustainability, or it became also relevant in the world. So that's why we created this vertical. In other cases was like fintech, which is the one I'm running, because we actually happen to be invested already in around 60 or 65 fintech startups. So we then consider that we know enough is a big word, but we have a certain level of experience, and then we decided that it might make sense to get a vertical specializing in that area. So the reason might be different, but still. We also make verticals when we find people who are particularly knowledgeable of a market. That's what has happened with HR, for instance, and well, extended reality and virtual reality. And well, calling it a vertical is weird because we have the Africa one. So we are European-based, we are European-originated. We have always been looking towards Africa as we kind of are in overlooked markets, so markets where they don't have all the potential normally compared to big US, UK, France, or whatever. So Africa was always there, and calling Africa a vertical is a little bit too much. But at the end, it's a generalistic approach, SaaS, in Africa. So the reasons are different, but when we think we can add value, which actually means adding mentors, meetings, a relationship with corporates, potential customers, not industry knowledge, that's when we create a vertical.
Okay, so you work backwards almost. You see where we can make an impact, where things are happening, then we work from there. Great. All right, so we're here today because the batch is coming to an end. So a very exciting question for me that I'm going to direct to you, Doug, is what do you...
No. Warren.
So for you, when you see graduating startups, what's your criteria for success?
You mean for the graduating startups? Okay.
Yes.
I think for us, it's probably something that we have seen that they have really evolved during the batch. So we can see that they have learned something, that their numbers are better, their product is better, they have like better understanding of their business, their team is stronger. So all those things, I think, because when we invest in the companies, we invest into the best teams that we see, right? And we want to make them even better. And so it's and if we can do it, and then it's great, right? Of course, there is those metrics that we want to see, that at least like half of the teams are able to raise money within 6 to 12 months after the program. So that's one of the things that we're measuring, right? So it's also something that shows the good work, of course, what the teams are done, but maybe we also helped a little bit. And of course, not all the companies maybe don't need to raise money or don't want to. So also if the companies become self-sustainable or profitable, that's even better, because we have like a couple of startups in our portfolio who haven't raised the time after the program. One of them is worth 30 million. And we still own 8%, so I like those startups.
Wonderful. That's great.
If I may add a little bit, so of course the measurement is basically growth, right? So as Juan would say, like you're just better than you were before. But one of the things that I heard from the startup directly, and I would try to quote, not to quote it, of course, but to share what I heard from a startup, is that our own mission as Startup Wise Guys is to help founders become entrepreneurs. And there is a very specific difference between what does the founder mean and what does the entrepreneur mean, because there is a huge gap between these two terms. And what I heard from one of the founders, which I would define as a success, that when he joined the program, he had no idea about what business is. And he was not a student. So he had experience, he had, I don't know, like he had like C-level positions, he had a lot of knowledge, but what he didn't know, what does building the business look like? And after the program, he said that he basically learned how to become an entrepreneur and how to build a business. And even if there's no specific measurable growth numbers after that, which should be, of course, but that is already a success while we are working with early stage founders.
May I add something? So it's complicated for us. So the question is complicated because that will be our dream, right? To make
That's
sure
why Fabi is asking complicated questions.
to you, but that's why they ask you, not us. But I think that I remember, when you go to events, right, and you see people pitching, investors and people around recognize which ones are from Startup Wise guys because the message is clear, to the point. So they realize that there's a clear difference. In fact, so the reality is that when you guys come, or the startups go through the program, they have a structured way of thinking. They have been able to at least properly define and check the product market fit. They have the financial clear. They are able to say why they need the money, what for. So there's a set of things that actually happen that I would say make them successful. For me, the most relevant thing is what we call the survival rate. So the truth is that we define it as 18 months after graduation, the percentage of startups which are still providing value. That doesn't mean they're alive, because a corporate can be alive and zombie, if you want. So that's not the point. And in our case, that's around 80%. When the market in general, 18 months plus the period is a couple of years, most of the cases, 80% of them will be dead. Right? So that's actually numbers that I think are relevant.
Okay, and follow-on is something that Startup Wise Guys does. So you have the initial investment before they start the program, and how does follow-on play into it?
Alexa, I can do it.
You mean follow-on investment or our support afterwards?
So support, as I understand, is forever.
Of course, after the exit.
You want to start, Alex?
The question was about the investment The question was about the investment conditions. So, Doug, happy if you support me on that. But basically, there are some specific numbers, and one of the most important things for us is that we cannot, and we are not even aiming to follow on in every single startup. That's not what we don't even need to do. We have to follow on the best performing ones. And but one of the most important things for us is that since we're like most of the times the first institutional investor, first like validated investor, we already got our negotiations on the price when we invested. So for us, it's important that we co-invest in the next step, so that there's external investor who would put the valuation, who would put the conditions on the next round when we can join.
Okay.
One thing, if I may, also is that in order to try and not be biased, because there's a relationship created in the acceleration, right, with the MDs and with the program directors and with all the people who are around. So what we try to do is that the decision-making people for the follow-up investments is different than the decision-making people from the initial investment, right? So because we need to make sure that it's as objective as possible, not because we don't want to give money to the startups, but because it's actually fair to them not to put more money if there's no reason to it, right?
Great. So we actually have a question from online, and then I'll open it up to the floor. So the question is, how do GPs analyze whether a startup has truly achieved product market fit and is ready to plan for growth?
I think it's, if you need to ask this question, then probably you don't have the product market fit, right? But usually you see it, right? So you have like good growth, like month over month. You have very good retention, people using your product on a daily basis. If you ask from your customers, if you take it away, would you be happy or unhappy? A majority would tell that they cannot live without it, that they need it. So all those things constitute that, right? So it's usually not one metrics, but you see it, you know it when you see it, right? And then yes, the company is ready for growth. You can put more money in, and they basically can multiply what they already have.
Right, great, thank you. So actually we have 1 minute left to this panel, and what I'd really love to get in is, Alexa, could you tell us about the other products we have at Startup Wise?
Good news.
Didn't hear the joke. I'm missing out. So if you
So now we've done the full-time accelerator program.
Yes.
So this is the genesis of Wise Guys, Startup Wise Guys, really. So what other products do we have?
Yeah, so that's probably would be directed to the audience, online audience that is not here as well, because the startups that are here, you know what does the acceleration program mean. But we, as Startup Wise Guys, we actually always wanted to be, we are always wanted, and we are still on a mission to change ecosystems. Changing ecosystems meaning also providing to become, in the very end, an A to Z ecosystem of entrepreneurship, which means that we do have programs, products that are not only startup specifically related, but that are actually touches upon from as young as late school kids and students to as old, define old, the mature, as board, corporate, C-level people who want to start something
Why do
new.
you point at me when you say the old people?
Because that's the natural part of doing things. But shortly, so we do have actually multiple products, not only acceleration. So if you have kids, for example, we have summer school for students that is called Young Entrepreneurs. And it is about the entrepreneurship. So it's a several weeks program where we teach students. I think the minimum age is like something like 16, 17, 18. And we give them education. We also have the program for the C-level executives who want to start their own business, and that's how that's the new thing happened recently. But for Bilbao as well, people specifically, just last week we launched an Angel Up Academy, which is specifically targeted Vizcaya, where we would provide education for business angels, how to level up knowledge on how to invest in startups.
Thank you so much. We have our next panel coming up, which will be moderated by
Me.
Doug. Hopefully he'll do a better time of keeping time than I have, because we have gone a bit over. Thank you so much. Thank you for telling us about Startup Wise Guys.
Yes. Me lead in a new panel. So we will talk about disrupting the traditional industries, and about strategies for successfully introducing innovative solutions into those corporates. And we have here in the panel Lee from abroad. We have Hedi from Rapidworks, and we have Joshua from Audemic. Welcome on the stage. Maybe we will start with a round of introductions. Everybody can tell like 1-2 sentences about what the company does.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can start. So at Audemic, what we're doing is we're building an application that allows people to easily read and listen to difficult documents, and initially focusing specifically on researchers and research papers as well.
So Rapidworks takes complex industrial processes and digitizes them within days. These processes can be unique. There's basically no similarities or nothing specific that they have to have for us to be able to digitize them.
And at a board, we help HR professionals deliver employee experiences.
Okay, thank you. So let's get into our first question. So the traditional industries haven't seen innovation for decades, right? And there is like a lot of new innovations out there, like SaaS solutions, etc. How do you see your like clients or customers or companies working in the industry solving this? Let's start with whoever wants.
Spreadsheets.
I've seen that.
For
Anybody wants that?
Well, for us, so we have two different types of users: the researchers, the end users themselves. They often do use spreadsheets to collect a lot of information that they have as well. But for us, on the B2B side of things, our main clients are universities and pharmaceutical companies, and yeah, they try to get their staff and students to read research papers in a traditional way, which is basically knocking on the door and saying, please read it, please read it. I can go into a little bit more on that, but I'll take it over to Heidi.
Yeah, I mean, spreadsheets, obviously. The statistics say that there's only 10% of manufacturers, for example, that have fully digitalized their processes. So spreadsheets are a massively used system. But also, I know that a lot of people will say that, but manufacturing has so many different systems. There's ERPs, there's MRPs, and all that jazz. But basically, the processes that we focus on are the new product introduction, change management, the sourcing, processes that basically aren't covered by these super big systems like ERPs and MRPs.
Sounds good. So Lee, how did you realize there was an opportunity for you in this?
Yeah, so I was an early hire at this startup in Toronto a few years back, and I sort of just they hired me just because I was entrepreneurial, and they're just like, you'll just come in and fix things. I said, okay, cool. So I came in and I just sort of naturally drifted towards this people operations role as we were hiring many people, but there was no onboarding. And once I found out what successful onboarding looked like, I implemented this program. What I realized with this program was it took so much of my time. You have a week before someone's coming in, and then there's a lot of preparation, software, hardware. You got to send them things before their first day. You have to get so many people aligned on this person's first day. And then day one, you have to empower this person on their first day. So it took up a lot of my time, and I was like, there's got to be a better solution.
Yeah, it's a typical story. What excites you in solving those problems, Heidi?
So for me, it's the fact that our research actually shows that we're able to save these companies at least $250K per year, which is quite a lot of money.
That's exciting.
It does. It should excite them as well. But also, the other thing is that it doesn't only influence those people working on these Excel sheets and those processes. At the end of the day, because it's manufacturing, it will trickle down to the end user. How fast they will actually get that product, how much do they have to pay for it. There's so many factors that actually me going to the store will benefit from.
Joshua?
Yeah, for me, the most interesting thing about what we're doing is if you look at difficult documents or research papers in particular, for the last 400 years, they've not actually changed in terms of how they look or how people read or engage with them as well. So what's most exciting about that is using technology or design even just to give it a little bit more readability, a little bit more interest. You see the end product from our users is that they love what we do ultimately. So that's really the most interesting thing, is taking something that's traditionally boring and making it a very interesting and actually engaging piece of content is most interesting for us.
What do you see is the biggest benefit for your customers in adopting your solutions? Maybe each of you can say one thing.
Yeah, well, I can come back and follow up on that in terms of one of the biggest benefits. Let's say in the case of pharmaceutical companies for us, currently salespeople at pharmaceutical companies, they'll go to medical practitioners and they'll want them to read the research behind a drug that they want to recommend, for example. And now what currently happens is, that salesperson will go and take a research paper, they'll print it out and give it to them. And then a month later, they come back and what do you think's happened? It's still not been read. it's still not been engaged with, they're already busy, you know? So the biggest benefit for us is creating an alternative format in which to read or engage with that can actually, you know, improve and engage those end users for our customers in that way.
So with manufacturing, not sure how much you know about how it works, but a lot of the manufacturers also have suppliers of their own that produce some sort of a smaller thing that's used in their product. And within those processes with suppliers, that's actually where a lot of time is lost, a lot of these XLs move, and also where a lot of time and money can be saved, in addition to having better collaboration as a team and actually, you know, having a good working relationship.
Yeah, and for us, I've been thinking about this for so long, like when you eliminate the boring or like the mundane or the administrative duties, you create happier employees because they're not doing these boring tasks. You get rid of that, and now they're doing just like more impactful things. That makes them feel better, they're happier, they're more productive, and so the net gain is just happier employees, more productive employees.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that. I think the key word maybe when it comes to traditional industries is boring. You know, the way it's currently done is boring. And you know, we live a short life. Who has time for that? You know, you want something to be a little bit more interesting if you have to engage with it every single day.
What was the biggest obstacle in the early days when you were introducing your solution to the market and like to your customers? Like what was the obstacle and how did you overcome it?
Well, because you guys feel free to interrupt and jump in at any point. But I think if for us, the biggest challenge was the fact that it's a traditional industry and people have been doing it in that way for years. And particularly in the case of reading research papers, when you come across people who are well established in that field or have been doing it for the last 30, 40 years, they feel like people that are coming through or who are younger than them should learn how to do it in the same way they did. So you often get a lot of kickback from them. But I think the way we've overcome that is by targeting a little bit more at younger people. Maybe in your case, it would be younger HR professionals, for example. They're more open to adopting that software or those new solutions in an early way.
Yeah, 100%, but I have to say something, so I'll agree with that. But in the early days, it was, HR traditionally is known as like a cost center. And so they have limited access to budget. And so that's changed, just in the 3 years that we've been working on this, that's changed drastically as we've been forced to work remote. And so again, overcoming that, it's just helping empower that HR professional to go speak and request more budget or request budget in the first place. So it's working better than before.
What about you?
So for us, it's a little bit more of an issue of understanding. So just being able to digitize a complex industrial process that's unique to a company and being able to do it in a matter of days to them seems so mind-boggling that they're just like, no, this isn't happening. So a lot of the work has gone into the messaging, into sort of showing them that it is possible even before we get to a more like a deeper conversation. So yeah, that's been a big issue for us.
But how did you overcome it?
Just the messaging on our website, on all of our marketing materials, just being very concise about what this product does and how it enables, just more proof points, more visual materials, things like that.
Okay, thank you guys. I think it was awesome. I will give a microphone now to Juan, who will moderate the next panel about challenges and pitfalls of managing the tech teams.
Thanks.
I need some water.
So thank you, Doug. So okay, so if you're okay, the way to run this, where you get a small introduction of you two,
All right.
and then I'm gonna jump into questions, and please do not hesitate to ask questions if you have any. Okay, that's a yes. Thank you. Okay, so if you can start, please.
Thank you. So my name is Erdinç. I'm founder of If2. We help software teams to ship 4x faster by identifying bottlenecks on their software processes. So basically, you can think us like a Google Analytics, but for your software teams.
Hi, folks. I'm Matt. I work for ERG Controls. We help automate monitoring, hand hygiene compliance, basically everywhere it matters, primarily in hospitals, but also in restaurants and also in critical production places as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So you are very much into software, so tech teams around, and even as a customer, and you mentioned a lot of technical thing of that.
Yeah.
So the name of this panel was challenges. Sorry for that's my age. Challenges and pitfalls of managing tech teams. So I'm going to ask you a first question. What do you think are the challenges and pitfalls of managing tech teams? Let's start that, and when we can go forward.
Yeah. So I'm a software engineer for the past 20 years. So many on my side, many software teams have different issues, but the common ones are this seniority thing in software teams, it's a little bit different. Like you can see someone 24-year-old and managing a team, and you can find at the same team like 58-year-old person like doing amazing stuff. So identifying all these bottlenecks and evaluating the performance and keeping the performance in a good state is really challenging. This is why we started also with the If2. So there are lots of decision points in software development. So you cannot find everything in a first look. So they are doing many things like brainstorming sessions. Some CEO came and hey, help me, or all the departments are working with the software team. So they have many different aspects in the business-wise. So identifying all those and managing the performance between those in that environment a little bit challenging for all the teams, I think.
Okay, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, well, I think that's $1 trillion question, right? If we all had the magic answers to that, it would all be fine. But I think the crux of the matter is that we're, at the end of the day, working with humans. And then there's this tendency, especially in technology, we're all living through another hype cycle right now. We're experiencing a huge one with generative technologies as well, where we see a lot of hype and movement towards being enchanted by the solutions rather than focusing on the customer problems. That also feeds through to the software development teams and the hardware development teams as well. One of the key challenges with technology teams is that keeping things at cause, maintaining that laser focus on actually being at the solution level to the customer's needs instead of getting lost by the technology's allure.
Oh, thanks a lot. Well, I'm not a tech guy myself. I'm actually very interested in this panel because I'm married to a tech girl. So if you can help me manage that, that will be very, very interesting for me. But talking about my wife, actually, in the past when she was running different software teams, she was always telling me that IT people, tech people needed isolation to work. I mean, there's very clever minds doing their stuff in their corner. And I was wondering, how do you see that? I mean, do they need to be team working? Do they need to be isolated? Is that true or not? What is the role of the remote plus work, right? How do you see that?
So I have some problems in this issue. Software is something like when you're developing software, you start from one point and you're trying to find the end door. So you're kind of in a maze trying to find your way. So when you started a problem, when someone came and pulls you up, hey, can you just take a look at that, or tell me, hey, then you just forget 45 minutes back and you're nothing. You just start over again. So this is all the discussions started in all the software teams. This is also something that we also years ago, I think we had some kind of similar discussions with my girlfriend also, because if you're not software developer, you don't in the first hand, you don't understand. What is the problem with you? I just say, hey, just bring you something. But no, we just lost everything. So this is the common problem with the software teams. So when people don't sometimes like understand that, like when you ping someone, a developer, you just like break all this maze stuff and you just lost it.
I think, again, great question. Tying back to my answer to the first question, it's often very tempting to focus on, especially as a ground troop, as a software engineer myself as well, it's very tempting to get lost in the actual execution step, but not taking a step back, taking a breather, and then seeing what needs to be done is correct. So directionally aligning. I think that's the crux of our issue. And perhaps in our case, in ERG controls, we have to both maintain our state-of-art computer vision department, and then that needs to be constantly aligned with our IoT systems, going back to our cloud and process there. So we need to constantly both manage two different things, having a focus on the technical edge, going in the uncharted territories ourselves, but also prevent ourselves, our ambitions of getting hold of ourselves, and just go on wander in that direction without paying attention to the actual problem that we've embarked on this journey to solve in the first place.
So we have like not so common view here, which I think is good. I mean, I don't think there's a right solution for anything, right? But going forward on that approach, I guess one of the questions that came to my mind is, so when people become managers, right? They need to manage people, right? There's this kind of view of tech managers should be kind of experts in what they do. From a technical perspective, but do you think that's the case with tech managers? Do you have to be experts? Is the technical part as important as the managerial part, or not? How do you put a very good coder or software developer like a head of somebody?
It's a bit, yeah. I think it should be blend, but mostly what we see is on tech teams, mostly managerial part is a little bit less than the technical part. So they are mostly technical, which we prefer also. But that also have different side effects. So I think it should be blend of both of them. But mostly, I can say that you should have tech background so people can respect you. Sorry, but there is something with that. Issue with that one, and you have to be able to manage people and communicate effectively between the teams, and like you have to manage that. So I think it should be blend.
I mean, again, a wonderful question, because it's very near and dear to the day-to-day work we conduct at ERG Controls. For instance, let me give you a concrete example. We work with smart badges, geospatial positioning technologies empowered by ultra-wideband. So it's such a new technology that both the hardware and the algorithms we use to process the incoming data, they are invented in the last quarter even, not even the last year. So it's one of those instances in which we don't have the luxury of having someone with the managerial expertise manage some that goes on from being an individual contributor then on to being a managerial context. And therefore, we need to sort of run before we can crawl. And in there, I think the precise solution to that problem in our case was constant cadence of communication. So if we increase the communication frequency above a certain threshold, then the magic starts to happen. And then we can go back and forth and figure things out in a collaborative fashion rather than being siloed in, which was the former question, I guess.
Okay, no, thanks a lot. I have other questions, but I guess there's a couple of them from the panel, from online. Okay, this is a weird thing. Sorry, Guy, I don't know who asked the question. Are you guys using AI to do your analysis on things or not? or just using your eye, not the
Who can
AI?
who can say no after seeing ChatGPT? Like, yes, definitely. We like make some analysis using that
Bullshit.
one, but yeah, it is not the. I think putting AI into something today, it is so easy, but putting the right thing and asking the right question, what we are like mostly doing well, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. You know, again, going back to the answer to the first question I gave, it's important not to reverse engineer from solutions to problems, but focus on the problems themselves and choosing the right tools for those problems. At ERG Controls, we do use AI, specifically in computer vision. We think that we have got the biggest library of hand-washing videos. If you want to access them, please ping me. And in order to process them, to evaluate people if they are in compliance with World Health Organization standards, we do use our own models. But again, I think it's very important not to get distracted by the news and what's fashionable at the moment, be it AI or blockchain, but just maintain that laser focus of how do I solve the customer problem better, faster, and cheaper.
Okay, thank you very much. Guys, thank you very much. We run out of time.
Thank you.
I just want to make a comment because that way they hate me more with the timing. So I completely agree. One of the things we actually face a lot is very deep tech people that forget about the customer, right? So that's a big question mark. Thank you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And so now we are welcoming back Alexa, which is going to talk, let's see if I understand that, is going to be leading a panel on generative AI, right? Is that correct? Whatever that means. Can you please get the first question, like what is that meaning? Please. Thank you.
Thank you, Juan. Yes, talking about all the difficult stuff using A or I in our startups. I guess we're ready to go, right? So we are here to talk about generative AI, the buzziest, the most, I don't know, like the loudest thing that is right now here everywhere, and like you probably have heard about it. So that's a part of artificial intelligence that can generate pretty much everything. But before we go there, I would love to give the floor to the panelists also to introduce themselves with a little bit, so 30 seconds, 10 seconds introduction on who you are, guys. So starting from Philip.
Hi everyone, I'm Philip, I'm the co-founder of PingHome, and we are a monitoring solution building incident management. Our goal is simple, we want to enable companies to analyze software incidents with ease and deliver quality software faster.
Hello everyone, my name is Christian Deal. Adminix is a low-code workflow automation software that helps SMBs save time and money by creating custom automation processes using serverless and AI technology.
Hi everybody, my name is Oscar Villanueva. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Nimis. What we do essentially at Nimis is anonymizing sensitive data to comply with privacy, to avoid data breaches, and to enable all the value of this data.
Hi, my name is Arun. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Phase Invest. Phase Invest is an investment management technology. We assist equity investors in building better portfolios and improving the process. We're, of course, focused right now on investment managers, but truly our tool can help any investor, including individuals.
Thank you. So basically, the previous panel, someone from the audience asked, like, if you guys use the AI in your startups, right? So we all believe that the generative AI brings efficiency, brings a lot of value, brings a lot of things that opportunities. But let's start from philosophy, from general things. So what do you think is ahead of us as such? Would you mind starting?
Yeah, sure. So, of course, efficiencies and optimizations are ahead of us, right? And ChatGPT was the fastest application in history to attract 100 million users, active users, in just over 2 months. And I think it had a profound impact on many industries and many different use cases, many applications. To some, they were marginal. To some, they were really deep. I think a different angle of how we could look at it is, of course, what are the disadvantages, or how can AI, generative AI, produce biased outputs? And I think the bigger question that we are not asking here is adoption, basically, how should it be governed? So should it be governed in any way, and if so, in which way? I think there are two main options, a centralized approach with controlled adoption, or a decentralized approach with faster innovation, but then, of course, you still, with this adoption, exposed to malicious threats and, yeah, other negative implications, so to say.
Going to the bad things already. So, threats. Anyone want to? So the question is the same. So there is an efficiency, there is an opportunity, but there are threats. Anyone wants to add?
So I would add that, of course, AI is a brilliant technology, but unfortunately it can potentially create many threats for working people, because it may replace them. I'm specifically talking about people who work with information, like SEO specialists, content writers, even developers. But I'm not talking that AI can completely replace everyone. It can be a good addition for every specialist. But for example, it can easily replace a junior developer and write code instead of him or her. And another thing that I'm worrying about is that AI can be used in a wrong way by hackers to do social engineering and hacking and scamming people by pretending a real person. So I think that we need to have some monitoring systems that check such activity, malicious activity, and arrest these people. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree completely with my mates. In our case, we are using AI, generative AI, in this case, ChatGPT 3 and 4 now. So it's completely useful for us in order to save time and money to do different stuff for our company. For example, content creation, generate data sets for training our own AI model. So despite being a threat for us, it's kind of a useful tool in order to do a better performance within our company. And in terms of threatening because of losing jobs, I put on the table that maybe some jobs they're gonna be lost. Sorry, but they're not gonna create a new ones around this kind of technology. So I think that the impact could be neutral in some way, or just positive impact for the population.
I think based on what Philip said, that the adoption of generative AI has been so rapid, and then there's a tendency to apply it maybe too quickly without realizing. And in our field, Phase Invest, where our market is people who are managing a lot of money, right? I mean, equity investment managers manage about 50 trillion euros worth of assets of clients, which is everybody. And we've just seen over this weekend, there was a basic failure of risk management. I mean, what happened in Silicon Valley Bank, I think you would learn in Finance 101. So if there's a rush to extrapolate and backfit, and especially in finance, the future looks like the past, but different enough to bring the shocks. And with AI, it looks at the past and trains itself, and that's where the next financial shock can come, and then that has a negative impact on everybody else. So you have to be careful there.
If it has a negative impact on everyone, can we go deeper? Can we go into the social questions? So how much will people be affected? Well, we had the talk yesterday in one of the one-on-ones with startups, and one of the opinions was that we are all doomed, because all the startups are doomed, because there's already so many things that can be replaced with the jobs that you mentioned. So who else? What else? What else can it impact? Can it impact different layers of people?
I mean, the technologies, there's nothing wrong with the technology. It's about how can people adapt, and how can governments and people in power help people adapt? So yes, I mean, if mundane or let's say repetitive jobs are lost, then even if new are created, the same number may not be created. We have seen with internet technologies, it has shifted wealth into the hands of the few. It doesn't matter if the aggregate pie is bigger. Generally, at least in wealthier nations, inequality has risen, and there's a difference. There's information wealth and information wealth gap. And it depends on how governments will help people adapt.
So legal governance.
I think my opinion on that is generally that we tend to overestimate the technology in the short run and underestimate the technology in the long run. So if we speak about the short term of, I don't know, 1 month, 3 months from now, I don't see an existential threat to our startup or any of the startups in our batch just because GPT-4 was launched yesterday, the day before yesterday. But I see that if we don't think about it today, if we don't think about it now, then 3 years from now, our business models might be severely affected if we don't adapt them in a certain direction.
Christian?
So I would say that AI technology is asked for a long time already. It's used in video surveillance monitoring, in automated autopilot cars, and smart chatbots, and so on. And the common thing in chat and all AI, if modern AIs except ChatGPT, is that they all do one thing good. And the biggest threat with the bad social impact is that ChatGPT may kill many AI startups on the market. And this is a huge problem because ChatGPT is monopolizing the market right now, and they can solve 80% of all problems solved by existing AI tools, and their trading model is really, really smart.
So are we all doomed?
That's a great question. I think that no, but we need to understand that this is something that will be integrated everywhere in 2 or 3 years, and it will have a good and bad impact. We will see, but it will be a part of our lives. Someone will not like it, someone will like it. We'll see.
I don't want to be the one that is spreading the word of ChatGPT or generative AI or something similar, but I think that you have 2 options just to take the advantage of this kind of technology, know how it works, and integrate within your businesses in order to take the most profits of that, or the opposite. So you are not using that kind of technology, so probably you are going to be losing an opportunity or business opportunities or so on. So I think it's on your own. I was wondering what is going to be the impact, for example, in my space in cybersecurity, because it's already there. So this tool is affordable for any other hacker or bad boy that is in the dark side, but also in our side. So I think this is a neutral another time. So we can take profits and take advantage of that type of technology. And I think it's fair from this point of view.
I want to ask the whole audience and you guys. So could you please raise your hands, and could you please raise your hands if you're already thinking of or already implementing ChatGPT in your activities? That's a lot of people. So there is actually a question from online, which is, I'm literally quoting, so I hope you understand the question as well. So, do all the AI-backed solutions take data from one brain, in brackets, such as OpenAI, or from multiple sources?
I would say that it really depends. There is the internet with a huge public information that can be taken for free. But in many cases, for example, like this startup that automates the hygiene, I'm sorry, it uses unique videos that you can have to record yourself. So it really depends on the situation, on what kind of model you need to train. Maybe you can find some information in the internet, maybe you have to create it yourself.
Yeah, I agree completely. But yeah, it depends completely on your model. If it's your own model, there's nothing to do with any other model. And then it depends also on the training. And also it depends on you if you train the model. So if your model is pre-trained with the internet, for example, it's going to be more or less similar, the output, and depending on the model. But it depends on the model and for sure on the training.
I hope the online person got the answer. But we have just a few minutes left, so I want to ask one question to Arun to go a bit back to the question about the social impact that it can create on the different people from the different countries, different nationalities, and different even knowledge. Because we're here in, I guess, in privileged position to learn about it from the very beginning because we are following technology. So how can it impact on the larger scale?
But the haves and have-nots are everywhere, right? So even in a let's say privileged area where we say there are still such gaps that have grown and they're actually getting wider, and the internet communications widen that gap, and this possibly can widen it even further. And then if it translates into lots of mundane jobs, or let's say more repetitive jobs that are lost, that'll have so huge societal impacts, and it'll have impacts on everybody then. I mean, if governments have to support masses of unemployed, we don't know if the other side will be enough to compensate. So when in the golden age of 50s, 60s, there was widespread unemployment, the general wealth distribution was much better. Since the internet age, the wealth distribution is not equal. There's wealth inequality and there's income inequality, and it's becoming more and more extreme even in the rich countries. So on general level, in terms of quality of life, probably the fruits of industrialization was more even spread than it is of the new technologies.
If there will be one thing that you would add as a solution, as a summary, as a learning from this topic for the audience, for yourselves, what would be that one key thing you would advise people to think about?
I'd say generative AI is not Clubhouse, so it's here to stay. And you should be asking yourself the question of how am I adapting? On an individual level, on a business level, it doesn't matter. Like, how am I adapting and how am I integrating into this new wave? Whether you want to ride the wave or not is a choice, but the wave is definitely there.
So, sorry. I would say that I completely agree with you, Philip, and I want to add that we should use AI really carefully, because it may be a panacea of our problems, and it can be at the end of the world. Everyone saw the movie Terminator, right? So we should hope that everything will be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be the one that is riding on top of that wave, but I don't want to be the one that is not getting that wave also. So,
I mean, it's a powerful technology. It has ability to improve efficiency and productivity, and we should all adapt to it and use it, as Philip said. But I think, as I said before, I think governments, etc., should ensure and start planning now how they can help the wider population also adapt and not suddenly be in a situation where they're in a problem and then there's no quick fix.
Thank you so much. That was the end of our panel. I think we can talk about it forever, but for this 15 minutes, that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's not yet it. So we have the next panel coming. That guy, you know him. So Juan will be moderating the panel about tech and product design challenges.
Thanks, Alexa. So we have 4 companies here this time. We're gonna try and go active, guys. So we tried and rehearsed before, and I decided not to make the questions that they were expecting to have. So because if not, it's gonna be like more automatic and like kind of not true. So the only real thing that we rehearsed is gonna be again a small introduction of you guys, short enough for the sake of time. So we start there. Okay.
Hi, I'm Livio. I'm co-founder and CTO at Heaven. And at Heaven, we actually help companies offer to their employees what we call a tax benefit using technology. Concretely, this tax benefit is actually a way to reduce taxes and therefore improve the compensation by 25%.
So you use technology to pay less taxes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sanjo. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Smart Kiwi. We build predictive software for shared mobility. So we are mainly developing a predictive model using machine learning and geospatial algorithms to improve their ridership and increase their operations.
So in your case, technology is to improve the usage of different resources, right? At the end, right? That's correct? Okay.
Hi, so my name's Nikhil. I'm the founder and CEO of SmartBill. And we provide banks with APIs that enable their customers to identify, cancel, and switch subscriptions in their bank app to save £300 per annum and increase engagement with the bank app by 24%.
Okay, so in your case, it's technology for better use of money, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Boris, CEO of Digicast. We digitalize the customs industry by applying virtual robots who learn from customs specialists and officers how to file customs forms, how to execute customs code classification, and how to detect fraud so that compliant customs clearance and even more efficiency increases and safety are ensured.
Okay, so in your case, again, kind of not only taxes, but also information moving from one place, for goods moving from one place to the other, right, in customs.
Exactly.
So the title of this is a very complicated title. Tech and Product Design Challenges, Success Stories when Solving Customer Problems. So it's pretty good to hear in a tech thing, customer, the word customer, right? So in some cases, tech is like about product, not customer. In your different startups, how I would say, how and why have you, how are you creating additional value for a customer with your technology? Because at the end, technology, correct me if I'm wrong, should only be a means to an end. It's not itself a means. I mean, we are not here inventing a particular technology. So how and why do you guys do that? Do we start over there?
In order to understand how we create value for our customers, you need to understand the context before we haven't arrived on the market. The thing is, in order to achieve what we do with technology, people have only one solution, is to go to multiple tax advisors, which have an unreachable price for a regular person. So actually, we leverage technology in order to make something automated that will work and will help democratizing the global tax setup for everyone.
So you say that your technology is replacing tax lawyers?
It's actually even better because there are some limits to what a man can do, and this is about the scalability of leveraging multiple tax systems in an international level.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, well, from our side in Smart Kiwi, what we're like the secret sauce or the main value we're providing to the companies is that we're removing the human intuition or the guessing from their decision making, right? So it's like nowadays most of the companies are mainly operating by not predicting what's going to happen tomorrow. So like we're helping them to better understand how the operation is moving, what type of resources they're going to need in the future, and then like how to better distribute their fleet in order to, let's say, like optimize the operation and increase revenue. So I would say the main value we provide them is that one. Let's say like get the guessing out of the game and understand better how things are going to happen in the future.
Cool. So you got like a crystal ball over there?
Yeah, luckily, yes. Yeah, okay. Hopefully. That's what we're trying to do.
I love that. So your turn.
So look, I'll start with like Simon Sinek says, I'll start with the why. So I think why is really important. And my why happened when I came back from traveling. And I came back from traveling, I was looking through my bank statements, and that's when I saw so many of these small payments being taken from me that I didn't know about before. It added up to, there was one subscription that had charged me £300 over the last 2 years. And I thought, you know what, enough is enough. Technology can create a fairer outcome for people like me. I then researched the problem, found out it's a £25 billion problem in the UK alone. And the fact that we researched it further, the product evolved, and we think we can use technology now to save people hundreds of thousands of pounds over the course of their lives. So that's the reason, that we get out of bed every morning, and that's what we're trying to do, because we think that will create a more sustainable planet and enable people to retire earlier.
That's cool. Retiring earlier is something that's pretty cool. Your turn.
So I will also start with the why, somehow easier. Well, I worked at DHL Express, FedEx, DB Schenker. We're a customs specialist, a customs manager myself. All of them had one thing in common, which was processing billions of customs documents manually on a daily basis. So people are printing out the documents, they are writing additional information on these documents, for which lots of customs know-how is needed, plus they all need to enter the data manually into a customs software. So imagine how big this pain is with billions of documents, okay? And then I just thought about, okay, how can we innovate that? I started to study digital business innovation and transformation, where we then arrived to the how, which is I continuously analyzed the innovation sweet spot and basically chased it, where I analyzed the desirability of customers regarding the product. I analyzed whether customers actually want to pay for it and how much they want to pay for it. Plus, then I analyzed, well, which technologies and processes can I apply for that? So what is actually feasible in the market today so that this innovation sweet spot is found in the end and the right product is developed?
Thank you very much. I'm a little bit concerned because you guys are not using tech terms. I mean, this is supposed to be a technical thing. I mean, you're talking about business, which I think is pretty cool. But I would like to ask you guys, each of you, and please with a different order, so the one that gets it in mind start. If you had to say one technology that each of your startups make you differential somehow, please don't say AI. That's going to be too simple. Just say one of these weird words that you guys say normally, tech people.
Yeah, definitely. It's like on our side, we're really talking about business. We have like one CTO and 3 CEOs, so that's why it has been more driven from the business side, right? So like the tricky questions are on this side probably. Okay. So at the end, it's like on our side, we're mainly using, let's say, like a mix between machine learning algorithms and geospatial intelligence. So like those are the secret sauce, if you like to call it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Others?
Well, what we thought about was how does our microservices architecture look like? There are so many bunch of different services and technologies behind that need to be developed. Is it a knowledge graph database? Then what do we need in addition? Well, we need a storage database. We need another one, an SQL database. So that's about the databases when we're talking about. Then what kind of AI services do we need and how does our machine learning pipelines look like? Well, it's not only one AI services, it's a whole bunch of different AI services, and there you need to find kind of a deep tech solution here to overcome all kinds of manual processes to really achieve automation.
Okay.
So we started the product with kind of simple algorithms. So we're trying to replicate what a human would do when they're trying to track their subscriptions. But because of poor data quality, this didn't work very well. And then we had to become proficient in things like, the jargon, machine learning, neuro-linguistic programming, and specifically we used functional programming called Clojure. So what that does is enable us to do more calculations in a shorter space of time. The end result is our technology is, more accurate, better quality data than our competitors.
Okay. So the CTO.
So I always like to start from the problem. And the thing is, since I'm a CTO, I know how it's tricky to actually not talk too much about tech and like lose all the audience.
This is a tech panel,
but the thing is, when we talk about our problems, when you think about what we have to do, leveraging multiple tax systems, the problem is that if we use a deterministic approach, like something that is hard-coded, we are talking about perishable data because the country and the regulation change multiple times in the year. So actually what you need to solve this in terms of tech is something that is able to comprehend some heterogeneous amount of data, and we are speaking about a huge amount of data because there are multiple countries in the world, they all have different tax systems and so on. And actually something that is good in treating heterogeneous data in a good approach is actually machine learning. So I'm sorry, I was not supposed to use this, but actually machine learning.
AI. Machine learning is okay.
Yeah, but actually what you need to understand also why this problem was not tackled before, actually, is because machine learning was simply not powerful enough. And today we are actually in the right timing where actually we are just between scarcity and abundance.
Well, thank you very much. I think that was very interesting. We're talking about customers, right? And so we have your startups. So you have the people from Startup Wise Guys and others telling you focus, right? Don't do too many things at a time. Don't change the product. Go to the market. And then we say product market fit, and you say, but you need to change the product and you need to adapt that, and it's complicated to manage the change roadmap, right? What features, technology behind, prepare for growth. There's a lot of things. How do you manage that roadmap in your companies? And any advice to anybody?
Yeah, so I can start. So our product roadmap evolved in a very constant way because of our customer-centric approach. Because when we talk about product and product roadmap, we are talking about the solution. But what you should be asking yourself is, what is the problem? And because of that, we realize that actually the only people who know what is the problem are actually the customers. Which means actually we needed to have an approach, a fast go-to-market approach, in order to iterate faster, to get customer feedback and to build a better product. And this actually affected all the technology that the technological choice that we made. Because, for example, we don't want to spend 3 months building API and actually just delaying everything. We want to go fast. We choose Firebase because there is no backend, no API. It goes fast so we can actually be around the customer.
Thank you. So who wants to go next? You?
Yeah, so there are 3 crucial aspects you need to take care of. And the first one is pivot, pivot, pivot. The second one, kind of. And then basically you have actually 5 in total. The second, or the fourth one, is fake it till you make it. And the 5th one is walk the talk, basically. And this is what we did. DigiCast concept has been developed over 2 years before actually the first lines of codes have been written.
Okay, thanks. That's cool. All the actually you use very nice sentences to put in the stickers. That's pretty cool, actually. Thanks.
So I'll say the cliche of staying close to your customers. So when we were doing this, we started out as a B2C product, so it was an app. But speaking to customers, we found out that actually they weren't coming back to the app to use it because once they canceled their subscriptions, they didn't need it anymore. And they didn't want to download a separate product. At the same time, we were approached by banks to say, we want this feature in our product for our customers. So we then pivoted to go from B2C and an app to an API-based microservices architecture type model. We still keep the B2C element so we can stay close to customers, ask them questions, test new features, get their opinions, and that's how we do it. So that's what my advice would be.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thanks. I would say, like in our case, I would approach it like in 2 different stages where you're, let's say, like at the product. I do agree with what Boris was saying and the terms he put, like the 5 levels, which is something we've done already, which is kind of like run, like fake it till you make it and everything. But then now we're like crazy trying to develop what we promised, right? So that's one of the drawbacks that we have. But at the end of the day, let's say, like since all of us are B2B, correct me, I think you're B2B, plus B2C, B2B2C probably, right? Is like any B2B company needs to develop its solution together with a partner or a customer in the beginning. So there's like a lot of iteration on what you're doing and always hearing, but always keeping in mind is like this feature they're requesting us, is it gonna become a killer feature for all the companies or all my future customers, or is it just for them? Right? And does it make sense to include it in the roadmap pipeline or not? And like, what is the effort to do it, right? So at the end of the day, it's like, yes, you need to handhold the customer and hear them a lot and iterate on what the feedback you're receiving, but having also at the back of your head where you want to get with the whole product and like a macro overview of the market that you're approaching as well.
Okay, let me please get one question that actually was in another panel, but I think it could fit here too. Sorry, whoever made the question, we didn't forget it. It was here. So it says, so guys, that's interesting. I'm interested also from a startup-wise guys perspective. So it says, I'm gonna read. After the graduation call, what is the first thing the founders have planned to implement after learning from different mentors or whatever startup-wise guys? So do you have any major change or thing that you are planning to implement in the next couple of months? I mean, the rest is long term. I mean, 3 months is like future, unknown future, right?
Maybe ask ChatGPT how he can include itself into our solution. Probably like I know.
Are you asking this question on like personal level, us in the company, or all the company globally?
Which side you want to answer? Both. So whatever you okay.
Okay, I can start. The thing I actually learned is actually that. Of course, I'm a techie guy, so I think about tech and so on, but there is not only tech. Everything needs to level up. Everything needs to go together, so marketing, sales, and so on. And it's useless to have a perfect product and have no customers, and you cannot have customers and no product. So it's all about balancing, and this is actually some things that I start to understand and we start to integrate in our strategy, and that is one of the biggest things that we learn also during this program.
Thanks. So I want to try to ask you to answer, but fast.
Yeah, definitely. So
putting a lot of pressure on me.
From our side, it was mainly we're gonna apply all the let's say like knowledge we've got on the sales side. So like starting on that side, we're still pre-revenue, so we're focusing 100% on sales from now on.
So changing from pre-revenues to post-revenues. Good.
I'd say one of the most important things that has come up and that we've learned is diversification of our customer base. So, you know, banks are big, takes long to sell to them, so we've managed to identify other sectors that can get value from our product.
Thanks, that's cool.
I would say push it to the limit and only sky's the limit.
Okay, that's cool. So it's the afternoon of the sentences. Guys, thank you very, very much for going through this panel. And thank you for, I don't know if you guys have any question over here. If you don't, I'm going to pass, so thanks again. I'm going to pass the mic to Fabienne, and I think she will be saying something very interesting.
Thank you. Yes, I won't take up much more of your time before we close this event. I just want to say thank you, everyone, so much for coming, for dialing in online, for your questions, and then a couple of thank yous. So to start with, our partners, Biath Seed Capital, Biath Vizcaya, and Jose Maria Ione. Thank you so much for your ongoing support and always being there when we're running around a bit. You've been very helpful. Thank you so much. Pilar, for the delicious food that you keep feeding us with as well. Then we are the largest batch in the history of Startup Wise Guys. We are 14 startups and many people were involved to make this possible. So I'll start. The mentors who have worked with our startups. Thank you. Nilanjay, growth marketing. Tom, fundraising. Carlis, who led the product sprint. Robert, who led sales playbook. Claire, who helped us with people strategy. Nick, who helped us with something very important, mental health. Ginny, storytelling. Kamel, content marketing. Kamin, financial projections, which was extremely entertaining. Marina, ICP. Marissa, experimentation. Juan, strategy. Stoyan, who led perform. A big thank you to our lead mentors, Dan Leman and Dan Wheatley. Dan Leman was our pitching lead mentor who was wonderful. He is incredibly kind, incredibly wonderful. Everyone needs to be a bit more like Dan Leman. Dan Wheatley, woo! Dan Wheatley, who worked very closely with all of our startups on sales. He was so passionate throughout. He worked really closely with our startups. So thank you so much, Dan Wheatley. They are all in a much, much better place thanks to you. Thank you. Okay. Now, on to Startup Wise, guys. A lot of our team, we're always very involved with supporting our startups. So Diana, Annie, Ismail, they led workshops. Thank you so much to our product team, Scouting, that made this all possible. Thank you, led by the incredible Karina. Marketing, the most patient department. Thank you so much, Zane, Louise, Ismail, Tata. You've been wonderful. Our GPs. We have 5 incredible GPs, Doug, Cristobal, Alexa, Gunche, Hertie, and our board member Juan, who is with us today. Thank you so much for your ongoing support. Cristobal, our CEO. Cristobal is always very involved with our batches, very hands-on, spends time with our founders. Thank you so much for all of your support and for spending time with us. Great, and now the biggest thank yous, the batch team. So this involves Billy. Billy, thank you so much for everything you've done. Billy is our ray of sunshine and has been with us whilst we've been in Bilbao. Thank you so much, Billy, for everything and for always smiling, especially when I'm stressed. Ika is a recent joiner to Startup Wise, guys. He joined us last year, but my goodness, he has been so supportive. He's a local here in Bilbao, so has been an incredible host. Thank you so much for everything. And I think that's it. No, Monica. So everything you see, hear, touch to do with this batch would not be possible without Monica. So thank you so much. We're not done. I'm almost there. One second. I'm almost there. 1 second. Okay.
Almost there.
So, the startup founders, you are the reason that I love this job, literally. Are you ready? You're ready. Aboard, Lee from Aboard, Adminix, 4 of the craziest founders I've met. Joshua, Rayo, Alex, Pascal. Anyflexo, such gentlemen. Mario, Mitesh, Florian. Ordemic. Adminix, Oksana, and Christian. Ordemic are the 4 crazy ones. Then we have Digicast, Boris and your team, Heaven. ERG, Batu, Heaven, Stefan, and Livio. Iftru, Erdinch, Nimis, Oscar, Okene, and Manuel. Phase Invest, Arun and your team, incredible. Ping Home, Philip and Nazir. RapidWorks, 4 incredible founders, including, Hedi, Marku, Martin, Juna, Smart Kiwi, Morat and Angelo, Smart Bill, Nikhil and your team. Thank you so much. That's it. Thank you. For those of you who are in person with us, please enjoy food and drinks at the back. If you're online. Before, sorry, I forgot.
Sorry, Fabi. I mean, and we forgot to talk about her. Okay, so we will do.
Okay.
So sit here.
Can I sit here? Okay.
So we can,
The closing video. Please, everyone, this is a lot of fun.
The most valuable thing I got from that program, all the know-how, learning from each other, laughing, fighting together. I hope you enjoyed the time with me together as well. Let's disrupt the customs industry.
Nice. One thing I learned in the SWG Accelerator was hablar español un poco. The people we met, the connections we made, the workshops we had, overall, just a fantastic experience. Thanks, SWG.
Lots of super good advice from the mentors, a lot of improvement in the companies, and a lot of friends and fun.
Hello from Bilbao. It's the end of the SWG program, but not the end of our interaction with SWG. This is the Bat Tower, had great fun here, challenges and lots of learning.
And now, the end is near.
Hey guys, really sad that the SWG program is going to be coming to an end. We've, had loads of brainstorming sessions, and it's been sad that these are going to be fewer and far between. But thanks very much.
more, much more than this. We did it bold. Be bold, my friends. Be crazy, but keep doing it. I wish you all good luck.
Thank you Startup Wise guys for the great program. We enjoyed the fast pace and learned a lot through our mentors and batchmates. Thank you for everything. We're looking forward to build on top of it. Cheers.
I'm not sure what to do for this, so I decided to tell you a joke. So what does the startup CEO say to his team? He says, guys, work hard for next year. We're planning to allocate shares, higher salaries, big package, facilities, and a lot more. And the team says, but sir, how about this month's salary?
Bam! So we're finally over.
SaaS, Bilbao. Whoa, what an experience, rollercoaster ride. Wicked. Keep living the dream.
Startup Wise Guys Batch 38.
Congrats, you finish.
Remember to be audacious and treacherous.
Thank you so much for your dedication, hard work, and innovations that have truly blown me away. It has been an honor to be on this journey with you, and I cannot wait to see the impact you will have in the world.
But the main thing that I want you to remember, whenever you're sad, whenever you're down, remember that you have a logo of your investor, which reminds you of your founder's journey. And I really hope that you can get up.
Hello everyone, congratulations on graduating today. The journey starts today. So remember, when things go wrong, give us a call. Remember, when things go well, give us a call. Good luck, and among everything else, have fun. Ciao.